The espresso machine was acting up again. At midnight on a Tuesday, while my wife Marisol whispered sweet nothings into her phone upstairs, I stood in our granite-countered kitchen trying to resurrect a $2,000 piece of Italian engineering that had apparently decided to give up the ghost. Come on, you temperamental piece of... Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. That's when I heard her laugh. Not the polite titter she reserved for my colleagues at firm parties, but the genuine throaty laugh I hadn't heard directed at anything I'd said in about 3 years. I should have minded my own business, should have fixed the machine, grabbed my coffee, and retreated to my home office to review the Morrison case files. Should have, could have, would have. The story of my marriage. Instead, I found myself creeping up the back stairs like some suburban spy, drawn by the sound of my wife's happiness like a moth to a flame that was about to burn me alive. And then he'll probably try to be romantic about it, Marisol was saying, her voice carrying that edge of cruel amusement I'd been hearing more often lately. You know how pathetic he gets when he's trying to win me back. I froze on the landing. Through the crack in our bedroom door, I could see her reflection in the vanity mirror, phone pressed to her ear, applying some expensive night cream that cost more than most people's car payments. Serena, I swear to God, if he tries to surprise me with another weekend getaway to that gross bed and breakfast, I might actually lose it. Like, read the room, Gideon. We're done. I'm just waiting for the right moment to pull the trigger. The espresso machine's rattling downstairs suddenly felt like the soundtrack to my entire existence. No, he has no idea about Raphael. He's too wrapped up in his little corporate lawyer fantasy to notice I've been practically living my life without him for months. Another laugh. Sharper this time. Besides, even if he suspected something, what's he going to do? He's not exactly the confrontational type. I stood there in the hallway of the house I'd bought with money from 80-hour work weeks, listening to my wife of 8 years discuss my emotional inadequacies with her best friend, like I was some kind of failed science experiment. The charity gala is perfect timing, she continued, now moving around the room in that restless way she had when she was plotting something. Everyone will be there, all his stuffy lawyer friends, my agency contacts, even Emily's school crowd. When I announce we're separating, it'll be like dropping a social media bomb. Emily. Our 16-year-old daughter, who'd already been giving me the cold shoulder lately, influenced by whatever poison Marisol had been dripping in her ear. Trust me, Serena, by the time I'm done, he'll be the laughingstock of every social circle that matters in this city. The sad, clueless husband who never saw it coming. I backed away from the door, my heart hammering against my ribs like it was trying to escape my chest. The floorboard under my left foot, the one I'd been meaning to fix for 6 months, chose that moment to announce my presence with a groan that could have woken anyone. The conversation stopped. "Hold on," Marisol said, her voice suddenly cautious. I held my breath, pressed against the wall like some kind of middle-aged ninja, and waited. After what felt like an hour but was probably 30 seconds, she resumed talking, but quieter now. Probably just the house settling. Anyway, I should go. Big day tomorrow, lunch with Raphael to finalize our announcement strategy. Our announcement strategy. Like ending our marriage was some kind of product launch for her social media consulting firm. I made it back downstairs without further incident, my mind reeling. In the space of 5 minutes, my wife had revealed that she was cheating, planning to humiliate me publicly, and had apparently turned our daughter against me as part of some elaborate social destruction campaign. The espresso machine sat there mocking me with its silence. "Well," I said to the empty kitchen, "apparently I'm starring in my own Greek tragedy, and nobody sent me the script. But here's the thing about being a corporate lawyer for 15 years. You learn to think strategically, even when your personal world is imploding. You learn to gather evidence, build cases, and present them in ways that destroy your opponents so thoroughly they never recover. And Marisol had just made a crucial mistake. She'd assumed I was the same man she'd married 8 years ago, the eager young associate who was so grateful for her attention that he'd overlook anything, the guy who worked late to afford her lifestyle and never questioned where she went or who she was with. That guy was gone. He'd faded somewhere between her casual cruelty and her assumption that I'd just roll over and take whatever humiliation she had planned. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recorder app. If my wife wanted to play games, she was about to discover that she'd picked the wrong opponent. Time to lawyer up, against my own life. The Morrison case files could wait. By 6 a.m., I was sitting in my downtown office with 3 cups of coffee and a legal pad covered in what my colleagues would probably recognize as a litigation strategy. Except this time, the opposing party was sleeping in my bed. Bobby Dre knocked on my door at exactly 7:30, clutching her own coffee and looking concerned. As my junior associate, she'd developed an uncanny ability to read my moods, probably from spending too many late nights helping me prepare for hostile takeovers and contentious divorces. Ironic, considering I was about to become the latter. "You look like hell," she said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "And you're here early, which usually means someone's about to get destroyed in court. Please tell me it's not me." "Bobby, I need you to do some research. Personal research. And I need you to be absolutely discreet about it." She raised an eyebrow. At 29, Bobby had the kind of sharp intelligence that reminded me why I'd hired her straight out of law school, despite having offers from bigger firms. She was also one of the few people in my life who hadn't been charmed by Marisol's social media persona. "How personal are we talking?" "My wife is having an affair. She's planning to announce our separation at the charity gala this weekend, apparently as some kind of public humiliation campaign. I need to know everything about her finances, her business dealings, and whoever she's sleeping with." Bobby's expression didn't change, but she pulled out her own legal pad. "Do you have a name for the other party?" "Raphael. That's all I got from her phone conversation last night." "Raphael?" She tapped her pen against her lips. "Wait. Rafael Ortega? The tech startup guy who's been all over the business section lately?" I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "You know him?" "Of him. He's the CEO of some social media analytics company that's been making waves. Young, rich, good-looking in that I definitely have a personal trainer and a stylist way. He's been photographed at a bunch of charity events lately with various influencer types." "Including my wife?" "Let me check." She pulled out her laptop and started typing. After a few minutes, she turned the screen toward me. "Here's a photo from last month's Children's Hospital fundraiser." There was Marisol, stunning in a red dress I'd never seen before, laughing at something Rafael Ortega was whispering in her ear. They looked comfortable together, intimate, like they'd been doing this for a while. "Snake," I muttered. "There's more," Bobby said, scrolling through more photos. "Looks like they've been at several events together over the past few months, always listed as attendees, but..." She pulled up another photo, this one from some rooftop party. Marisol and Raphael were standing close together, his hand on the small of her back in a way that was definitely not platonic. "How did I miss this?" "Because you've been working 90-hour weeks on the Morrison acquisition, and because your wife is smart enough to hide in plain sight. Social media posts, charity events, business networking. It all looks legitimate unless you know what to look for." I stared at the photos, feeling that familiar burn of anger that usually preceded my most devastating courtroom performances. "What else can you find out about him?" "Give me until noon." "But Gideon..." She closed the laptop and looked at me seriously. "What exactly are you planning to do with this information?" "I'm going to return the favor." "Meaning?" "Meaning she wants to humiliate me publicly? She's about to discover what that actually feels like when it's done by someone who destroys people for a living." Bobby was quiet for a moment, then nodded. I'll get you everything you need. Financial records, business dealings, social connections, the works. But I have one condition. What's that? Whatever you're planning, keep it legal. I don't want to have to visit you in prison. Don't worry. I'm not going to break any laws. I'm just going to use them very, very creatively. After Bobby left, I sat alone in my office, looking out at the city skyline and thinking about the conversation I'd overheard. Marisol thought she knew me, thought she could predict my reactions. She was about to learn that 8 years of marriage had been a two-way street. If she'd been studying me, I'd been studying her too. And I'd learned that my wife had one crucial weakness: her image. Everything she did was calculated for maximum social media impact. Her career, her friendships, even our marriage had all been carefully curated for public consumption. She wanted to destroy my reputation? Fine. But she was about to discover that reputation was a double-edged sword, and I was very, very good with sharp objects. My phone buzzed with a text from Marisol. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." I typed back, "No problem. Love you." The lie came easily. After all, I'd been practicing. By Thursday afternoon, Bobby had delivered a file that read like a masterclass in financial infidelity and social media deception. I sat in my office, doors locked, spreading the documents across my desk like a general planning a siege. Rafael Ortega, 37, CEO of Pulse Analytics, I read aloud from Bobby's report. Company valuation estimated at $12 million, but here's where it gets interesting. His startup is hemorrhaging money. They're burning through investor cash faster than a casino addict, and the latest quarterly reports show they're about 6 months from bankruptcy. The irony was delicious. My wife was apparently trading our 8-year marriage for a relationship with a man whose company was circling the drain. But the financial stuff was just the appetizer. The main course was in the social media analysis Bobby had compiled. Using her connections in the tech world, she'd managed to trace the digital footprints of Marisol and Rafael's relationship with the precision of a forensic accountant. "They've been careful," Bobby had noted in her summary, "but not careful enough. Cross-referencing location data from their Instagram posts shows they've been at the same places on the same days at least 15 times in the past 3 months. Hotels, restaurants, even a weekend trip to Napa that Marisol told you was a girls' retreat with Serena." Serena Tran, Marisol's best friend and business partner, apparently serving as the alibi for this entire operation. I made a mental note to deal with her later. The most damaging evidence, though, was something Bobby had discovered through her social media deep dive. A private Instagram account Rafael maintained under a fake name, where he'd been posting photos and videos that told the whole story of his relationship with my wife. "How did you find this?" I'd asked. "Cross-referenced facial recognition software with publicly available images, then used reverse image searching to find accounts with similar photo patterns. It's amazing what people will post when they think they're being clever." The private account was a goldmine. Photos of Marisol in our house when I was at work. Videos of them laughing about her clueless husband while drinking wine that I'd paid for. Even a recording of Marisol doing a cruel impression of me trying to be romantic, complete with her mocking the anniversary gift I'd given her last year. But the crown jewel was a video from last weekend, filmed at some rooftop bar downtown. Marisol, clearly drunk, was holding court with Rafael and Serena, talking about her plans for the charity gala. "The best part," she slurred in the video, "is that he'll never see it coming. He's so pathetically grateful for any attention I give him that he actually thinks we're going through a rough patch that we can fix. Like, honey, this isn't a rough patch. This is me preparing your social execution." Rafael and Serena laughed, like this was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. "And after Saturday night," Marisol continued, "he'll be so humiliated that he'll probably just slink away quietly. No messy divorce proceedings, no fighting over assets. Just a sad, broken man who knows he's been beaten by his betters." I watched this video 3 times, my anger crystallizing into something cold and sharp and absolutely lethal. They thought I was pathetic. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd just roll over and take whatever punishment they had planned. Time to correct that misconception. I picked up my phone and called my old college roommate, Jake Morrison. No relation to the Morrison case, just one of those cosmic coincidences that make life interesting. Gideon? Jesus, it's been what, 2 years? How's married life treating you? About as well as a root canal, actually. Listen, Jake, I need a favor. You still run that private investigation firm? Sure do. Why, you need someone followed? Something like that. But I need it done very quietly, and I need it done by someone who understands social media forensics. Sounds like you're planning something nuclear. Let's just say I'm preparing for mutually assured destruction, and I want to make sure I win. Jake was quiet for a moment. You know what? Don't tell me the details. Just send me what you need done, and I'll handle it. But Gideon? Yeah? Whatever happened, I'm sorry. You deserve better. Thanks, Jake. I'm about to make sure I get it. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and started typing an email to Jake with very specific instructions. If Marisol wanted to play social media games, she was about to discover that I had resources she couldn't even imagine. My phone buzzed with another text from my loving wife. Staying at Serena's tonight to work on the gala planning. See you tomorrow. I texted back. Sounds great. Can't wait for Saturday night. For the first time in days, I was telling the truth. Friday morning brought an unexpected gift. Emily actually spoke to me at breakfast. Dad, are you okay? You seem different lately. My 16-year-old daughter was sitting across from me at the kitchen island, picking at a bowl of cereal and studying me with the kind of perceptive intensity that reminded me she was half mine, genetically speaking. The intelligence was there, even if Marisol had been working overtime to turn it against me. Different how? I don't know. Less, she searched for the word. Less sad, I guess? You've seemed really sad lately, but today you seem almost happy. It's weird. Out of the mouths of babes. Maybe I'm just looking forward to tomorrow night. The charity gala should be interesting. Mom's been acting weird about it too. She keeps making these phone calls and then getting all secretive when I walk into the room. Are you guys planning some kind of surprise or something? The innocence in her question hit me like a punch to the gut. Emily had no idea her mother was about to detonate our family in the most public way possible. She probably thought we were planning some romantic gesture or anniversary announcement. Something like that, sweetheart. She smiled, the first genuine smile she'd given me in weeks. That's really sweet, Dad. I know you and Mom have been having problems, but I'm glad you're working things out. After she left for school, I sat alone in the kitchen, staring at my coffee and feeling the weight of what was coming. Emily was going to be collateral damage in whatever happened tomorrow night, and there was no way around that. But at least this way, she'd learn the truth instead of growing up believing her father was the villain in her mother's carefully constructed narrative. My phone rang. Bobby. I've got everything you asked for, she said without preamble. Financial records, social media forensics, even some interesting information about Serena's business dealings that I think you'll find illuminating. What kind of interesting? The kind that suggests your wife's best friend has been embezzling from their agency. Small amounts, spread over several months, but it adds up to about $40,000. And guess who's been helping her hide it? Raphael? Bingo. His analytics company has been providing fake client reports to cover the missing money. It's a neat little scheme, but it's also completely illegal. I felt a smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. Bobby, you beautiful, brilliant woman, email me everything. Already done. But Gideon, this changes things. If you're planning to expose this tomorrow night, you need to be careful about how you do it. Embezzlement is a felony. If you handle this wrong, you could be accused of blackmail or extortion. Don't worry, I'm not planning to blackmail anyone. I'm planning something much more elegant than that. Which is? I'm going to let them destroy themselves. I'm just going to provide the venue. After hanging up with Bobby, I spent the rest of the morning making very specific arrangements for tomorrow night's charity gala. As one of the event's major sponsors, courtesy of my law firm's community outreach budget, I had certain privileges, including the ability to make last-minute changes to the program. I called the event coordinator, a nervous woman named Patricia, who treated major donors like they might spontaneously combust if not handled with sufficient care. Mr. Hale, how wonderful to hear from you. I hope you're excited about tomorrow night. We're expecting over 300 guests, and the silent auction is already raising record amounts. That's fantastic, Patricia. Listen, I wanted to add something to the program. A special presentation, if that's possible. Of course. What did you have in mind? Well, my wife Marisol has been working so hard on her social media consulting business lately, and I thought it would be wonderful to surprise her with a tribute video. You know, highlighting her professional achievements, her dedication to our marriage, that sort of thing. Oh, that's so romantic. I'm sure we can work that into the program. Do you have the video ready? I'll have it to you by tomorrow afternoon. And Patricia, I'd like to keep this as a surprise. Could we maybe not mention it in the printed program? Just have the MC announce it as a special tribute from a loving husband? Absolutely. This is going to be such a beautiful moment. If only she knew. The rest of the day was spent in careful preparation. I reviewed every piece of evidence Bobby had gathered, organized it into a narrative that would be impossible to deny or explain away, and began constructing what would either be the most devastating presentation of my legal career or the most spectacular act of professional suicide in the history of charity galas. Around 6 p.m., Marisol came home to change for what she'd told me was one last planning meeting with the gala committee. She looked beautiful, as always, the kind of effortless elegance that had first attracted me 8 years ago, before I learned that beauty could be weaponized. You seem relaxed, she said, applying lipstick in the hallway mirror. I was worried you'd be stressed about tomorrow night. You know how you get at social events. I'm actually looking forward to it. Should be a night to remember. She paused in her lipstick application and looked at me in the mirror. Really? That's unexpected. I've been thinking about what you said the other day, about us needing to make some changes. You're right. It's time for a new chapter. Oh. She seemed almost disappointed by my acquiescence. Well, good. I'm glad you're being mature about this. Maturity is one of my best qualities. Have fun at your meeting. After she left, I poured myself a glass of the expensive scotch she'd given me for our anniversary, probably with Raphael's money, I realized now, and sat in my home office, putting the finishing touches on tomorrow night's presentation. By the time I went to bed, everything was ready. The evidence was organized, the video was edited, and the venue was prepared. Marisol wanted a public announcement. She was going to get one, just not the one she was expecting. Saturday evening arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that made everything feel sharp and full of possibility. I stood in front of my bedroom mirror, adjusting my bow tie and watching Marisol apply the finishing touches to her makeup. She looked stunning in a black evening gown that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her dark hair swept up to show off the diamond earrings I'd given her for her birthday. You look beautiful, I said, and meant it. Whatever else she was, Marisol had always been breathtaking. Thank you. She seemed nervous, checking her phone for the third time in 5 minutes. Raphael and Serena are already at the venue. I should probably go early to help with last-minute setup. I'll meet you there. I have a few things to finish up. She kissed my cheek, a gesture so automatic and meaningless that it felt like being blessed by a robot, and left in a cloud of expensive perfume. I waited until I heard her car pull out of the driveway, then made my final preparations. The Grandview Hotel ballroom was magnificent, all crystal chandeliers and gold leaf, filled with the kind of people who attended charity galas not out of altruism, but because it was expected of them. I recognized most of the faces: fellow lawyers, business leaders, social media influencers, and the usual collection of wealthy socialites who treated philanthropy like a competitive sport. Marisol was holding court near the silent auction tables, radiant and animated, playing the role of devoted wife, while Raphael lurked nearby, looking like a male model who'd wandered into the wrong event. Serena flitted between them, clearly coordinating whatever they had planned for later in the evening. "Gideon!" Patricia, the event coordinator, appeared at my elbow with the kind of frantic energy that suggested the evening was barely controlled chaos. "Your video tribute is all set up. We've scheduled it right after the main auction, before the dancing begins. It's going to be such a beautiful surprise. I can't wait." I spent the cocktail hour working the room, playing the part of the successful lawyer husband, accepting congratulations on my wife's business success, and making small talk about cases and clients. Several people mentioned how happy Marisol looked lately, how their marriage seemed stronger than ever. If only they knew what they were about to witness. During dinner, I sat at the head table with Marisol. Raphael conveniently seated 3 chairs away as part of the business networking arrangement. I watched my wife pick at her salmon and check her phone, building up to whatever announcement she had planned. "You're being very quiet tonight," she said during the salad course. "Just enjoying the evening. It's not often we get to dress up and celebrate together." "Right." She glanced toward Raphael, who gave her an almost imperceptible nod. "Actually, Gideon, there's something I need to talk to you about later, something important." "Of course, whatever you need." The main auction went smoothly, raising impressive amounts for the children's hospital. I even bid on a few items myself, including a weekend getaway package that Marisol would never get to use. Finally, the moment arrived. The MC, a local news anchor with perfectly styled hair and a voice like warm honey, stepped up to the microphone as the auction concluded. "Ladies and gentlemen, before we open the dance floor, we have a special surprise this evening. One of our major sponsors, attorney Gideon Hale, has prepared a tribute video for his wife, Marisol, celebrating her professional achievements and their beautiful marriage. Marisol, this is for you." I felt Marisol stiffen beside me as the lights dimmed and a large screen descended from the ceiling. She leaned over to whisper, "What is this? You didn't tell me." "Shh, just watch." The video began innocuously enough. Photos of Marisol from her college days, our wedding, early years of marriage, soft music, romantic transitions, the kind of tribute that would normally make people reach for their tissues. Then the tone shifted. "But every marriage has its challenges." My voice narrated over images that were decidedly less romantic. "And sometimes, those challenges reveal truths that are difficult to accept." The first bombshell. A photo of Marisol and Raphael at a restaurant, clearly intimate, taken 3 months ago. Gasps rippled through the audience. "What the hell?" Marisol started to stand, but I placed a firm hand on her arm. "Wait. It gets better." The video continued with methodical precision. Financial records showing the embezzled money, screenshots of Raphael's private Instagram account, audio recordings of their conversations about their pathetic husband. Each revelation hit the audience like a physical blow. But the coup de grace was the video from the rooftop bar, Marisol's own words condemning her. "The best part is that he'll never see it coming. This isn't a rough patch. This is me preparing your social execution." The ballroom had gone completely silent except for the sound of my wife's public humiliation playing out in high definition. When the video ended and the lights came up, 300 pairs of eyes turned to our table. Marisol sat frozen, her face white with shock and rage. Raphael looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Serena had actually gotten up and left during the financial revelations. I stood up calmly and took the microphone from the stunned MC. "Thank you all for your attention," I said, my voice carrying easily through the silent ballroom. "I know this isn't the kind of entertainment you were expecting tonight. but I felt it was important to share the truth about my marriage before my wife could spin her own version of events. I looked down at Marisol, who was still sitting in stunned silence. "You wanted a public announcement, darling? Consider this my contribution to your social media strategy." The aftermath was swift and brutal. Phones came out immediately, recording everything. Within minutes, hashtags were trending. Raphael tried to leave through a side exit, but was cornered by several guests who recognized him from the video. Serena had vanished entirely, probably already consulting with lawyers about the embezzlement charges. Marisol finally found her voice. "You bastard," she hissed, standing up on shaky legs. "You complete bastard. How could you do this? The same way you could plan to humiliate me in front of everyone we know. The only difference is that my version was based on facts." She slapped me then, hard enough that the sound echoed through the ballroom. Several people gasped, and I heard the rapid-fire clicking of camera phones. I didn't react to the slap. Instead, I smiled. "Feel better?" She stared at me for a moment, then grabbed her purse and fled toward the exit, pushing through the crowd of people who were all suddenly very interested in getting a closer look at the evening's entertainment. I straightened my bow tie, thanked Patricia for her excellent event coordination, and walked calmly out of the ballroom, leaving behind the wreckage of my marriage and my wife's carefully constructed public image. In the parking lot, I found Marisol sitting in her car, crying and frantically making phone calls that no one was answering. I knocked on her window. She rolled it down, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "What do you want now? Haven't you done enough?" "Just wanted to give you this." I handed her a manila envelope. "Divorce papers, already filed. You'll find the terms very reasonable, considering the circumstances." "You planned all of this. You taught me well. Image is everything, right? And now everyone knows exactly what yours is worth." I walked away, leaving her sitting in the parking lot with the ruins of her reputation and a front-row seat to the consequences of underestimating the man she'd married. The drive home was peaceful. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. Justice, it turned out, was a dish best served in front of 300 witnesses with smartphones.